There are going to be times when you have a virtual machine that you need a large amount of storage for and you want good performance out of that storage. A lot of applications like Exchange and SQL would benefit from higher speed storage. If you think about what's happening right now is that we're writing to a virtual disk, which is a file that's on a volume on our host. Well, if you use pass-through disks, instead of writing to a file that's on a volume on the host, you can write directly to the volume. In other words, the guest operating system can have exclusive access to this volume storage. There's a couple ways to implement the volume storage. It can be additional local storage on the host, or this could be done with a SAN, and you could create a LUN for the Hyper-V host and give it that way. But there are some criteria with this. While this does increase performance, there are some things you have to be careful of. You're not going to do this with removable disks, and things that I'm going to show you in a little bit, like checkpoints, don't work with pass-through disks. Also, if you do live migrations, these are concepts that you'll work with in like the 7412 exam. So cause an interruption to your users, but you do get a performance increase out of it. So this is something worth considering. Now, here's what the first thing is you have to do. You have to add storage to your virtual, not to your virtual, but to your Hyper-V host. Now I'm sitting on my Hyper-V host and I'm going to go out to computer management. And what I did is I added another volume to it. So I'm going to go to disk management and you're going to see that volume. And let me take you through what you need to do. Right now it says that I just added the disks and it says it's unallocated and it's offline. Now the rule for pass-through disks is that the disk needs to be offline in order for the VM to be able to use it. This means that the Hyper-V host doesn't have access to it. But what I want to do is, since this is a new volume, is I want to make sure that it's been initialized and that it has a partition table. So I'm going to right click here and bring it online. And you can see it says it's not initialized. So let's initialize the disk and give it a master boot record. And here's the important step, is to make sure that you take it back offline. So once it's offline, now it can be used for a virtual machine. So let's do that. Let's launch Hyper-V and let's choose one of our virtual machines. Here's server 1. And I'm going to go into settings and let's go down to the SCSI controller. Now, in the past, when we've been adding a hard drive, we've been adding a virtual disk that we've created. And we went here and we would create a virtual disk. We're not going to do that this time. This time we're going to go down and see where it says physical hard disk. And there's the list. Now you only see one listed. That's the one that we had configured for offline use. If I had multiple ones, you could drop this list down and grab multiple ones. If you don't see something in the list, it's probably because it was put into online mode and not available. So now that I can use this as a disk, I can say apply and say okay. And when the virtual machine comes up, you can now go out and format that disk and get it set up with a volume and a drive letter. And it has now that exclusive access to that volume on the host machine or on a SAN. Matter of fact, as soon as he comes up here, let's go out and take a look at it real quick. Let's sign in. We'll go into computer management. Up to tools. And I'll go to disk management. And there's our new volume. Now, inside of this virtual machine, I can right click, say online, and now I can create a volume for it. So let's do a new simple volume, and we'll take the entire space. We'll give him a drive letter, drive E, say next, and go ahead and do a quick format on this just to get the volume up and running. And now that virtual machine has a pass-through disk as volume E. So for higher speed storage access, direct access to the volume might be your ticket in getting the performance that you need by using pass-through disks. Now, something else that we want to take a look at, what if you want to make some changes to your system, and if it doesn't work, you want to quickly roll back, or you've got a system in a particular position and you just want to make sure that if something in the future does go wrong, you can roll back. Well, that's going to be checkpoints, and that's what we're going to look at next.